And it's podium time and a second interview of the day, would you believe, for Oliver Gibson in third position. Oliver, great start, but Josh Martin had the measure, didn't he? Managed to come through past your brother and then past yourself at the hairpin. Happy with the third, though?
Yeah, it's good points. Obviously, the win was there, but I don't think I would have kept Josh and Jack behind for the rest of that race because they just seem to have quite a bit faster than me. But I learned quite a bit. I learned that I tend to destroy my tyres after a few laps, so that's something to work on. But the start was good. First few laps were okay, just a few mistakes and tyre wear.
That was pretty much it. But as you say, really good points. And if you're on the podium for most of the races, then it's not going to be too bad, is it, championship-wise? And we cast our minds back a fortnight, and you had a third, a second, and a fifth. So really good, strong finishes. Much to change setup-wise for race two. Obviously, you don't have to tell us specifics because you don't want to give the game away. But are you tweaking?
Oh, I don't understand anything about setups. I will be lowering my fuel, and we discussed this before the race between all the drivers and whatnot. They gave me an answer for the fuel. I was like, do I believe them? So I put in a bit more, and then I crossed the line, 2.9 laps left, and I was like, probably should have believed them. So bit of fuel tweaking. Apart from that, should be all good. Just focus on me. Destroying my tyres. That's the aim for this one, just to keep them in a nice window, try and get through the pack, because obviously this one's reverse top 10, I think that's right. Yeah,
so that's it.
Avoid the trouble, keep the tyres good, and see where we end up.
Excellent. Okay, well, at least you've got a couple of things that you can work on, so time management and a little bit less fuel. So that's good. Pole position though was a great start, and third to add to that. So well done, Oliver, and we'll catch up with you after one of the other races, I'm sure of that. Let's move on to P2. Jack Smith, first chat of the evening with Jack, our championship leader, and very heavy on ballast. So how much of a difference does that make, Jack?
Apparently it's a lot. Yeah, I was just watching Josh come in behind me, and I could not believe how late you were braking. I was like, oh my god. My rear view mirrors are filled, and I was a bit baffled, but yeah, that's what happens when you're at the front. I'm sure Josh will be feeling it next round, but he's going to be reveling with the benefits, I think, in this one, because I think me and Ollie had the legs on me a little bit. I think I was surprised he didn't go for a dive bomb at the end there into the hairpin. I thought that was coming. I was prepared for it. I was going to let him up the inside and switch back on him, but he didn't do it in the end, so I was prepared for it anyway. But yeah, it was a good first race. My start was a bit iffy. And I was just trying to make the tyres last, because these softs go off. If you slide just a little bit, these softs just they eat away at the tarmac. So it's not good. But yeah, I kept them in a good window, got them to go into the red just before the end of the race, and yeah, we made it to P2. So yeah, very happy.
Obviously, the tyres have got a lot more work to do this one, because you've got more overtakes to do, or overtakes anyway, because you're not at the front.
Yeah, so I'm probably going to stick for the same tyres, but yeah, as you say, it's going to be a little bit more work for the tyres, trying to weave your way around people. So yeah, we'll have to see how that works out. But yeah.
Oh, I better get going quickly then. Jack, thanks for having a quick natter. We'll catch up with you. And so well done, Josh Martin, on the first win. And Rich Hayden said it's all down to practicing.
Yeah, I actually had some time to practice this week, but I'm still having my good old tech problems. So I was glad I made it to turn one in that one, because I only just got on the grid about 30 seconds before the lights. So but yeah, we'll get there.
Okay, we've only got 30 seconds before the next race starts, so I don't know if you need to fiddle and faff and get ready for it. But great to see you have the win, and nice to have the chat. And we'll see what's the target for the back very quickly.
First.
First place, excellent, of
Yeah.
course. But flipping stupid question from the commentator there. Never mind, that's what we're here for. Have a good race. Congratulations, Josh, on the win. That was a little bit of a lightning quick interview with Josh, so apologies for that. My fault. Too long talking to all our drivers further down the order, and we are already racing. So it is Christian Gilliam out front with Andy Dorman. It's Christian that gets the lead with Andy Dorman in second place as they head down into Nordkurve, which is turn 1, and it is these reverse grid races tend to be a little bit of a bun fight. We've got Andy Carroll around the outside of Dorman now to challenge for third place, can't quite get it, so Carroll's still in fourth position, Dorman in third. Ahead of them it's Christian Gilliam and Lee Pearcey. I love the reverse, Henry, because we tend to have a little bit of a sort out. Don't like seeing the dings and dongs, but it means we get to see different names at the front of the field.
Yeah, exactly. The action at the starts are always going to be amazing when you've got a mix-up of pace as well as experience within sim racing. You see some of these drivers going through. Oh, there's been an incident into the hairpin.
Andy Carroll into Lee Pearcey there. Sorry to cut across you, just as we've done them. And that was a wee bit of a commentator's curse on Andy Carroll, who's having a great run but finds himself now down in 11th position. Lee Pearcey, as a result of that, is 15th. It's Christian Gilliam in the lead at the moment, although Andy Dorman is having a good go. But we see Eric Axelsen now, who was one place shy of the podium in race number 1 and has come through, whether the cars have fallen for him correctly or not, but he's up in second place here. Eric Axelsen, the reigning SEAT champion, of course, won our last SEAT TCR championship, and he is up into P2. So Christian Gilliam has got somebody very, very fast behind him. And behind him as well, because Andy Dorman's next up, and Jack Smith has come through, Henry, into fourth place. And sometimes on these reverse grid races, it just opens up for you.
Yeah, some of the chaos that unfolded was perfect timing for these drivers. A few of them managed to get through it completely cleanly and make up loads of positions. You see Jack Smith is already up to 4th, whereas Oliver Gibson's still down in 8th. So that's the difference between things lining up correctly for you or potentially getting involved in a little bit of the chaos. So it's all about timing everything perfectly, and the reaction time to everything when there's loads of chaos going on. It's all about getting out of the way, trying to get forward and push on.
A fascinating thing, you're right, the fascinating thing here for me to watch points wise, and it is too early in the campaign to think about points, but we've got this scenario now where Eric Axelsen, who was just off the podium in the first race, second in the championship, he's there in P2 and lining up Christian Gilliam now. He's going to go for the wide line here and just about manages to slot through on the inside. He's going to do a Josh Martin here. He's hard on the brakes, gets the lead. Axelsen through into lead position, but also he runs wide, carries a fair bit of momentum out of the hairpin and runs a little bit wide. We've got Jack Smith up into third place now, so this is going to be potentially, once things settle down a little bit, between Jack Smith and Eric Axelsen, but they've got to deal with Christian Gilliam, who's doing superbly at the moment in P2 and not being dropped by Eric Axelsen. He'll be learning from watching Eric, will Christian, and he'll also be watching by looking in his mirrors Andy Dorman having a go at Jack Smith now for third place. So Dorman's coming back into it. Remember, less ballast for Andy Dorman, but let's take nothing away from the Eden Garage car driver, and Jack Smith is having to fight for this. Not going to be easy with all that ballast, and also having to come through from 10th on the grid. Dorman's going to try and get the switch back there. Doesn't quite work for him. Chris Blakey running consistently as well, the black and gold car down behind them. Then it's Scott Bugner, who again is scoring good points potentially here, with Oliver Gibson 11-11 on the clock remaining, and Eric Axelsen here beginning to stretch his lead. He'll be pleased to see squabbling behind.
Yeah, he's going to be able to pull away a little bit with all this battling happening as well as Gillian, I think, is on the medium tyre, so that is potentially why he was a little bit slower off the start than some of these other drivers, potentially doing it to conserve his tyres for the race to be able to hold on to the end. But you'll see some of these other drivers coming through and it may look like they've got more grip, and that seems to be because they're on the soft tyre compared to him on the mediums.
That's a good spot, isn't it? Yeah, the only driver up there with those medium tyres on the car, and Andy Dorman about to try and go past now. So it's Axelsen from Smith, Dorman challenging for third place. Gilliam on the right of shot in black as they come down into the right-hander. So Smith is a little bit of argy-barges coming through the field, and Scott Bugner's come through now and read that well. So Scott Bugner, again, not professing tonight rear-wheel drive, but proving to be every bit as competent in rears as he is in front-wheel drive. So Scott Bugner busy chasing Jack Smith with Eric Axelsson away down the road. You could be forgiven. Oh, and Gilbert contact there with Gilliam on the inside. There are more contact going on as well. This is going to keep Rich busy over the next few nights, sorting out the various bits of contact happening out on track. But this is it's very much akin to touring cars, isn't it? Would you go touring cars, by the way, Henry? If the career goes well, and you're coming out of Fiesta Juniors, is touring cars the aim, or single seaters, or where do you see yourself? GTs?
I mean, I wouldn't say no to any option at the moment. I think it's just thinking about what opportunities come up and seeing where we can go from there. I mean, touring cars would be a mega place to go to. Pretty much anywhere in motorsport would be great. Anywhere you can make a career off, I'd love to be able to do. But sometimes things won't necessarily work out. So I'm looking in the engineering side of things as well. But yeah, anyway in motorsport, anything that would line up well, I'd be happy to do.
And how's the engineering side of it going? Obviously, we've got a race going on, which I'm trying to cover, and I thought it would be important for our viewers to get to know you a little bit, as well as Andy Dorman and Christian Gilliam get really stuck in now, and Oliver Gibson's going to come through. Oliver Gibson here, we'll come back to aspirations and things maybe in the longer race, because we've got time to do that. But Oliver Gibson's worked well, hasn't he? He didn't have the rub of the green in the early laps, or the first couple of laps, but now is up into 5th place. So we've got Axelsson, Jack Smith, Scott Bugner, Andy Dorman and Oliver Gibson, and Gibson trying to make up another position there. Chris Blakey in the mix as well. She's down to 6th place with Craig Curtis back in front of him now, but Eric Axelsson 2.2 seconds clear, so the Swede's doing his championship chances. The power of good here, dropped a couple of places in the first race. And spinner there, Gilliam is round and loses out. Craig Curtis, I think, lost out as well. Though we were starting to see Craig Curtis up with the front group and beginning to get a decent result. That leaves Gibson in 5th position. So it's Axelsson, Smith, Bugner, Dorman and Oliver Gibson. So probably have done without the contact, but difficult times, all close stuff, and you get that in the reverse grid, and we've got a proper reverse coming up, obviously, with the 2 sets of results being added together, plus the pit stop challenge or pit stop element of the race to come in as well. But this is Gibson chasing Dorman now for 4th position, 7 minutes on the clock, and dare I say it, Henry, they're spaced out, so we should get away with any more contact for the next couple of laps, certainly as far as the top half dozen drivers are concerned.
Yeah, I think it's managed to calm down a little bit. A little bit of the contact there actually helped spread it out a bit more, with a few of the drivers managing to gain from that, some of others losing out. But Axelsson in the lead has managed to just run a clean race, and I think he's just going to be able to hold it safely from there. He's managed to just be able to put in the laps and get away from all the carnage that unfolded behind him, and it's left him off with a nice buffer of just over 2 seconds.
Yeah, that's a good size, isn't it, for Eric, who's always there or thereabouts. And we'll be thinking, Eric will, I'm sure, be thinking about the meeting or the event as a whole, all 3 races, and how it pans out. As you watch Paul Laramie now challenging Christian Gilliam. Let's see what the Laramie is. Craig Curtis in behind, then John Jones, we hadn't mentioned, a wee bit further back. Paul has a look at Christian Gilliam, who is struggling with the tyres, so Gilliam just locking up there and loses out on his medium tyre. He is still the top medium runner. We've got Craig Curtis on medium as well. Olivia Krzyżanowska is on mediums, and Thomas Potter. Thomas is having a very quiet meeting. We've seen Thomas up at the sharp end podium wise. What was that I said about contact earlier on? And a bang there. So Lee Pearcey drops down the order. Spoke too soon.
Yeah, I think one of the drivers might have misjudged their braking there on a move on another car and just ran into the back of the driver in front, annoyingly. These things do happen a little bit when it's such close quarters in the racing, but again, just the tiniest little bits of misjudgment can end up with big consequences.
Thomas Potter trying to pass Olivia Krzyżanowska, and you saw that Olivia, very well aware in the mirrors there, I thought, Henry, he was going to come across Olivia and take the line into the corner, but saw Thomas and then gave it room. So that was a really nice piece of racing between the pair of them, to be perfectly honest. So Olivia trying to catch up with Adam Lyle, who again is a multi-race winner in our various formulas. So there's actually nowhere to hide. They're all capable of podiums, if not race wins, in this championship. As we ride again with Oliver Gibson challenging Andy Dorman for 4th position, and here he comes. He's going to pull level. He's got the inside run here as we switch to the overhead shot. Hard on the brakes. Doesn't need to go too hard though, because he's got the line. He'll be trying to close down on Scott Bugner with 4:49 to go now. Scott Bugner at the moment in 3rd place. So there are our podium runners immediately ahead. Eric Axelsen from Jack Smith. Jack Smith with the fastest lap of the race, 1:48.86 on the soft tyre. Eric Axelsen 1:49.1. So Eric hasn't got the pace. Is there, Henry, do you think enough pace in the 2nd place man to close in on Eric Axelsen though?
I think at the moment it seems like Axelsen might have enough to hold on. With 4 minutes to go, that is roughly 3 laps, I'd say, from about now on when they're going to cross the line. And I think with 2/10, what it looks like 2/10 a lap, or maybe 3/10 a lap from Jack Smith, I just don't think it will be quite enough. Unless Axelsen makes a mistake, it looks like I think he's going to hold on and manage to come home with the win. But as I say that, the gap is going down further again, so we'll have to see.
Errors and Eric don't tend to go together, you're right. I think we could well hang on to this. 6 laps into the race, the gap 1.7 seconds as we watch Jack Smith trying to close down. We've got some of the other drivers. We did lose Josh Martin, didn't we, as well? So Josh Martin is a technical issue, which is a shame. So he had the Gremlins getting to the grid in race number 1. A big shame for our race 1 winner. I'm glad we had a chat with him. I wish it had been a longer one, to be honest. So apologies for that, Josh, if you're listening. But we'll rectify that later on in the season. Axelsen the leader, Jack Smith in P2, Scott Bugner is in 3rd place, and Scott with a fair amount of ballast as well, carrying 29 kg. So this is again a good drive from Scott Bugner as we watch Andy Dorman, who hasn't really been lost by Oliver Gibson at the moment. There is a little bit of a gap back to Chris Blakey, qualified 5th. So had a good strong run in race number 1, again picking up good 6 points here as Adam Lyle is about to pass John Jones. So the 639 car nearest our virtual camera, and Adam Lyle is going to nip through on the inside. They're still side by side, but he's got the outside line as they come down into the hairpin. John Jones, seeds that one, probably had the better of it. Adam Lyle manages to get the car stopped in time, doesn't roll on too much out of the corner. So it's a great place for Adam Lyle up into 11th. Craig Curtis is his next metaphoric target. There is Adam, who was twice a winner in the Cooper Cup. So certainly no slouch, and having to work very, very hard indeed just to get up towards the top 10 in this one. Christian Gilliam still in 9th, having a good run. Thomas Potter 14th. Head of Thomas is Daniel Heaps in 13th. John Jones we just saw past, he's now 12th. Head of Adam Lyle, we've got Craig Curtis and Christian Gilliam as mentioned. Paul Laramie 8th. Andy Carroll is 7th from Chris Blakey. Andy Dorman in 5th. In top 4 at the moment. Jack Smith in 2nd, chasing Eric Axelsen, has got a little bit closer. Scott Bugner 3rd, and Oliver Gibson in 4th place with 1:40 on the clock. Axelsen has done a terrific job, Henry.
Yeah, it looks like at the moment he's still holding on. The pace has kind of settled down a bit more, with only a 10th between them. So Smith is still closing in, but not quite at a rate which will be quick enough to bring him into the lead. So I think going into the final race of the day, it's going to be quite close up at the front, especially with some of the laps between them. The pace, there's a slight differential, but it's not enough for them to be super separated on track. So I think going into that last race, it's going to be super interesting to see it all come out on top.
It is going to be fascinating. I'm wondering whether we're going to get 3 different winners again as we did last time out. Remember, Jack Smith won the first race, Scott Bugner won the second sprint race, and Eric Axelsen won the feature race on the Sachsenring configuration with 52 seconds on the clock. Axelsen still looking good. Jack Smith working hard though to try and close him down. Axelsen from Smith, Scott Bugner in a very good 3rd place at the moment. Scott was 4th, 1st and 4th last time out, so again not far away from similar point scoring in this event. And you can, as Rich said at the top of the programme, drop your worst score as Craig Curtis closes in on Christian Gilliam to go 1 place further up the order here, challenging for ninth position with 20 seconds on the clock, so he's made it into the top 10, but is he going to be able to get further up? Not quite close enough to challenge at the moment, though, is Craig Curtis. Christian Gillen, who started at the front and did a good job on the medium time. Very clearly the medium perhaps not the one to have, but you have to take a little bit of a chance and go for it as the clock ticks down now. So the drivers on their last lap. Jack Smith here in second place. Eric Axelson still there, the gap 1.3 or thereabouts as they make their way around the parabolica. So around about halfway or just over a third of the way round the final lap here at the Hockenheim ring. And Henry, have you been abroad to any races at all yourself?
Not at the moment. It's always just a dream to be able to do that, but I think it's just everything's a bit busy at the moment with A-level, schoolwork and racing. It's just too much to be able to actually get abroad, but going to a track like this would be amazing because the racing around here is just absolutely awesome.
If your dad's watching, you're going to have to get you out here for the DTM round or something like that. Mind you, the trouble is, you guys, viewers might not know, unless you've read the spiel, Henry's from Cornwall, so one of the most travelled drivers in the country. So it's a pretty much an away day just to get to your nearest track, let alone travel up the country, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Almost every track's basically abroad for us. So.
But a lovely part of the world.
It's nice living in Cornwall. It does rain a little bit though sometimes, but yeah, for motorsport, it's obviously not ideal considering everywhere's about 3 to 4 hours plus, but it's just something you have to deal with. It's what makes sims such a big thing nowadays. It's the ability to practice without having to go away, and that's what makes it such a rewarding thing to be able to do the practice on the simulator, because it means you can get to the tracks, you can know where you're going, and you can make progress way quicker than you would otherwise.
That is it, isn't it? That is what it's all about, and this is all about taking the win, which Eric Axelson has done from Jack Smith in P2. Scott Bugner wraps up the podium. So we get 2 new interviewees, which is fantastic. That's what it's all about. There's a little bit of a moment there into the pit wall. We had a couple of those at Silverstone the other week. So where did we get to? 5th position, Andy Dorman behind Oliver Gibson, then Chris Blakey, followed by Andy Carroll and Paul Laramie. Christian Gillam in 9th place from Adam Lyle. And then it was Craig Curtis in 11th from John Jones, Daniel Heaps in 13th, Thomas Potter 14th from Lee Piercy and Olivia Krzyżanowska. And we'll have a word with our top 3 after this break. So, race 2, sprint race 2 podium, and we're going to kick off with Scott Bugner. Congratulations on the podium, Scott. How are you?
How are you?
Yeah, very. The key question, of course, is that after a fortnight ago, did your dad manage to sell a car?
Nah, unfortunately not. So it's all right. The deal's still on for the rest of the season. So I'm going to carry it on now through the whole of the sim racing. If one car gets sold, that's it.
Well, fingers crossed, and you never know, somebody might be listening who wants a car. So get down and support our drivers and support the businesses that are helping them. That was a good race, and we can see why you're third in the standings coming into this round. Were you happy with that?
Yeah, I think I made it hard working qualifying. I just couldn't sort of lap out, and then sprint one, I just you're in the middle of the pack, and it's just battles galore and door to door, and I did a little rollover as well, and ended up back on my wheels. That was quite good. And then obviously starting 16th in this one, I knew it was going to be hard, but just yeah, I went elbows out. I went kind of Ash Sutton style, and just thought, right, you got nothing to lose, go for it now, and it kind of worked out.
Podiums are becoming a good habit, aren't they? Because obviously you had the win in sprint race 2 last time. Actually, this point wasn't it on the previous round? So, but it is all about finishing up there, isn't it, and keeping the pressure on those guys ahead of you.
Yeah, that's all you got to do. You got to keep the pressure on, especially with the likes of Eric and Jack and Ollie. They're very hard people to beat. So yeah. So I've made it hard for myself in this one due to qualifying, but points make prize at the end of the day. You just got to keep getting the points and keep putting the pressure on.
That's good. Well, good luck for the endurance race or the longer distance race, and we'll maybe see you on the podium again.
Hope so. Thank you.
Pleasure, and well done on P3. Let's go to second position and another chat with Jack Smith. Jack, you were saying you just getting the odd 10th on Eric, but hard work trying to close down on him.
Yeah, no, Eric's always been. If you're behind Eric, you've got a very slim chance of trying to catch up to him because he just never really seems to make mistakes when he's just driving by himself. So yeah, it was going to be a tough ask because Eric was basically the same pace as me anyway. So yeah, it was going to be really rough, and the gap that he pulled on me and the other guys that we were battling with, that sort of sealed the race for him really. So yeah, he did a really mega job keeping that gap. Keeping it consistent because I know how hard it is, especially in these cars. These curbs can come up on you and creep up on you, and suddenly you lose the rear. So, yeah, to not kill his tires and keep it really consistent, he's done a mega job there. So, yeah, nothing really else to say. To be honest, it was just a good race.
It was a good race, and did the sort of heavens open up for you, or the gates open up a little bit in the early stages because you seem to come through quicker than some of the other guys from the back of the top 10.
Yeah, kinda. Yeah, I sort of expected a lot of stuff to go down in a few corners, so I just sort of kept my way out on the outside and just hoped I could dive down the inside and maybe gain a few, and that seemed to work. So yeah, I found myself up in the top few positions. So yeah, that was just trying to get past the other guys that were in front of me. So yeah, I made that work, and then P2 chasing down Eric. So yeah, it was really good. Really went exactly as I planned it to. So yeah, really happy.
Are you going to beat him in the feature race though? Because obviously you got one over on you last week or 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna have to try, aren't I? We'll see. Yeah, I'm sure we'll give it a good shot, and yeah, I'm sure this is going to be just as good a race as the other two.
I think it will be. So well done, Jack. Good to catch up with you. Enjoy your prep and enjoy the feature race, and we'll possibly see you on the podium for that one. But well done, Jack Smith, P2.
Cheers, Richard.
First chat for today for Eric Axelson, who really came through very quickly. And Eric, you understand you've got a story for us about race 1?
Yeah, sprint 1. I thought I had like a really great start.
Yeah.
I was really fast off the line. And then I realized that I had the wrong gear ratio in. So I had a too short ratio. So I was hitting the rev limiter on the long straights. So I was losing time. So I had no chance of keeping up with the other guys.
And yet you got 4th place, which are really good points, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I can't. Considering, the circumstances. I mean, I have to be really happy with the 4th, but I'm still at the same time really mad at myself for such a stupid mistake because I got the wrong setup loaded in the car. So yeah.
Make sure you're right for the next one. What was sorry, I missed the time count there from Rich. I've got time. That's good. Okay, so yeah, the other thing I was going to say is, although you weren't wheel to wheel with Jack, for me it's fascinating watching one or two drivers, even if they're separated by half a dozen car lengths or more, as you probably were in most of that stage. It's fascinating watching two guys driving as near perfectly as we're going to see and maintaining that gap. And a lot of people say, oh yeah, but they're not actually racing wheel to wheel. That doesn't matter to me. It's about it can be about wheel to wheel, but it can be about watching drivers put in perfect laps.
Oh yeah, I agree. And Jack himself, I think he's exactly that. He's like really good at being like consistent and just like putting like fast laps after each other. And I think he did like a 46.8 or something in the sprint race. I mean, that's a quality lap basically on race fuel. So yeah, I agree with you there.
But now we've got depending what tyres you go out on for the feature race, we've got I'm guessing you're both going to be high up there on the point, so probably starting together in this. Do we see a separate strategy? Do we see a separate or different attack to race 3 from the pair of you?
So I think last week we were on like different strategies, and I think mine paid out last week. So I'll stay on my strategy. See if Jack switches. We'll see.
Yeah, you can take credit for that if he copies you.
Yeah, for sure.
On that one, I'm going to put Henry Foote on the spot here because we've got Henry joining us for commentary racing. Henry races has been racing in the Fiesta Junior now. Has to actually graduate as he's about to go senior. Henry, have you got a question for Eric?
Yeah, sure. Well done, Eric, on the first, by the way. But to start off, how did you cope with the pressure of Jack Smith closing in a lot? Because he was putting in really, really fast laps. So what do you do to try and get that out of your head, stop looking in your mirrors and push forward?
Yeah, well, that's a good question. I guess I don't, because he was closing in on me. No, but I've been racing with Jack like many times, and I know he's fast. Like when he's at it like fastest, he usually like he's like coming up on me. But I just try to not make any mistakes. Really, try to stay calm. That's the best you can do. And I think I manage this race.
Yeah, exactly. It was a very well managed race. You managed to just keep it calm in the lead. So very well done.
Thank you, Aaron.
Good stuff, Eric. Good to catch up with you. We've had a really good mix of drivers on the podium. So I'm going to say, Eric, many congratulations on the win. Fantastic, as always, to have a chat with you, and we wish you well for the feature race.
Thank you.
That's our top two. Started off with Scott Bugner, Jack Smith in second, Eric Axelson takes the win. Got an opportunity maybe to talk to Henry a little bit about won't press you on where you're going next year, because I know you're looking at all sorts of options at the moment to move into senior racing. But one of the things I wanted to talk about is the fact that we can publicise Driven Mind and Racing Minds, which you work with. And I, for one, watch a lot of the content you do, which is very, very good indeed. I really don't know how you keep it going, because every time there's fresh content and it's relevant and useful.
Yeah, thank you very much. It is quite difficult figuring out how to do new content each week. I often come up to a blank and have to get my parents to help me out a little bit sometimes with new video ideas, because it's tough trying to get new things out each week, because sometimes it's really easy just to go over the same topics, but it's always about looking at what's happening at that time, what's the important things going around at that time, looking at things like Mental Health Day and things like that, which you can draw onto, and things like I've just posted a video about the off season, and looking into the things that drivers have as part of their off season, which might cause stress and anxiety, and how you can work on that, and how you can try and avoid those parts, or figure out ways to help cope with those stresses, which might mean that you can perform better going into the next season, or just generally help with your overall well-being, because those are the most important things for a racing driver. Because it's really easy to forget that within all sports, especially motorsport, mental health can be a massive struggle, and that's why it's great to work with an organization like Driven Minds as well, because all the work that they do towards mental health in motorsport, it's been really amazing to see.
It's terrific work, and all of the content that's coming through genuinely has helped me. And maybe we'll talk about a little bit more in the race. There was a colleague at a meeting a few weeks ago that was suffering, and just things like asking people twice, which you covered earlier on, you can ask someone and we'll automatically say, yeah, I'm okay. But if you dig a bit deeper and ask again, that was one key point that came through to me. So yeah, all of them are useful. All of them make me think. And sometimes I think, goodness me, has Henry written that about me? But it's good content, mate. And long may it continue. And I hope you continue to get good support for it. So yeah, really, really good
Very
work.
much, Richard. That means a lot.
No, yeah, absolute pleasure. And as I say, it is key. Absolutely, key to all of us. Well, we're getting ready for our next race. Thomas Potter finds himself in the position here of being on the front row of the grid with John Jones. Then we've got Daniel Heaps and Craig Curtis on row 2. So let's see what the Flying Teapot can do. Needs a bit of luck here, does Thomas Potter. Actually doesn't normally need luck because he's got plenty of skill in with that young man driving the car. And the anti-bullying message that he carries, I think, resonates quite nicely, doesn't it, with good mental health. And Thomas could deserve a good result here. Certainly due a little bit of luck as far as this event goes. Let's see what he can do from pole position. Certainly got a fighting chance of having a go. John Jones alongside in the 639, then Daniel Heaps, Craig Curtis next up, Olivia Krzyżanowska and Adam Lyle wrapping up row 3. The is about to start here for the third and final time of our second event of the season, based at Hockenheim. Lights on, and we are about to go. We are now racing, and it looks like John James has got away well. Thomas Potter, though, gets a good start on their side by side. Are they going to have a little bit of contact as they go down towards the Nord Curve turn 1, and Potter gets the run around the outside. So it's John Jones in second place, Thomas Potter the leader. Daniel Heaps is in third, so Heaps having a good start, from Craig Curtis in fourth place, then Adam Lyle in fifth position. But Thomas Potter did a very, very good start there, Henry.
Yeah, he managed to get away cleanly. There was a little bit of door banging going to turn 1, but these things you can expect when it's online. There's a little bit of variation with lag and things like that. But both of them managed to keep it clean. Both of them I see are running the soft tyre, so they might be able to get a bit more of a run in the first few opening laps. We have to go down to fourth to see Craig Curtis, who's running a medium tyre. So these opening laps will be key for them to get away, make the most of that initial peak that the soft tyre will have, being again the softer compound. It will be quicker in those opening laps before the medium tyres start to claw back as the tyre wear comes in. So these opening laps that these two, you see them running away at the front, is going to be absolutely crucial for their races ahead.
I didn't get to talk to Rich Hayden, and feel free to interject, Rich, about what we expected. Lifers contact there as Heaps just tags into the back of Thomas Potter, but Thomas recovered very well indeed. And I think Daniel will be wondering, yeah, look at that. He knew he'd given him a disadvantage, so that had given him an advantage and allows Thomas Potter back through into the lead. So I think Heaps, holds his hand up on his mistake there, lets Potter back through into the lead. That was thoughtful driving, wasn't it, from not the contact, but the repass.
Yeah, it's good sportsmanship to see that. Mistakes do happen, and being able to own up to it and let the other driver pass is really difficult as a racing driver, because you're trying to push forward and it's against what you're thinking. But by doing that, it means he's potentially going to be avoiding a penalty he might get later on, and it means that again you can see them starting to push on again and build up that gap to the cars behind. So it's about trying not to fight too much in these opening laps, because the more they fight, the more contact they make, the more time they will lose to the cars behind. And it's vital to lose as little time as possible when they're on this quicker compound.
We've got, that was Adam Lyle, who had the spin and disappears off down the order. As we watch John Jones, Craig Curtis now coming under pressure from Lee Piercy, another regular that wouldn't be surprised to see up on a podium position. So Potter and Heaps. Now the point I was coming back to, so much going on in the race at the moment, I was going to say, how long do we expect the soft tyres to last, Rich, around here?
So the soft tyres start to go off around laps 6 and 7. It's quite a gradual drop off. So the guys that were using the softs in the sprint race, which is I think 10 laps, there's a little bit of carnage there in the background.
Again?
But yeah, expect the softs to start dropping off from lap 7.
Thanks very much for that, Rich. You're going to be busy as ever in the clerk of the courses office. And by the way, I wasn't referring to you as vegetable being a clerk, it was general. I was going to say MSUK, but I'll withdrew that. But I've just put it back in, so hey, that's a shame, isn't it? Thomas Potter still out front from Daniel Heaps. I didn't want to get specific anyway with any clerk, because I'll be perfectly honest, it's not a job I would do, to be perfectly honest, although I did call the festival correctly at the weekend, more by luck than judgment, but there we go, as the outside move here from Oliver Gibson. Now, a couple of key points from the opening laps. Thomas Potter obviously ahead of Daniel Heath. Those two doing a sterling job 1 and 2 in these early stages, as is Scott Bugner, who's arrived in 3rd place. There's a little tap there on the back from Eric Axelsson. Unusual to see Eric have a little movement on the back of Oliver Gibson. So he's running well. Jack Smith is back in 9th place at the moment. Jack running on the medium tyre, so we can maybe expect a later stop and a late flourish from Jack Smith. So it is Heaps now in front of Thomas Potter, with Scott Bugner in 3rd place. As we look at Oliver Gibson trying to go around the outside of John Jones. Is he going to be able to do it? He does, because John Jones just loses it. Very sadly, he'll get back on, but he'll lose a load of places. That's put Oliver Gibson up into 4th place. Eric Axelsson now in 5th. So the big points drivers starting to work their way through towards the front before the advent of the pit stops. But remember, Gibson and Bugner both on the soft tyre, as we watch Eric Axelsson now going side by side with Oliver Gibson, and they're trading places like nobody's business. Josh Martin's got going again in this race as well. Josh is up into P6 and showing the sort of form that we saw from him in race number 1. Josh on the medium tyre as well. So we've got 4 Mr. Softies out the front, headed by Daniel Heaps. Scott Bugner now in 2nd position. Thomas Potter is down to 3rd, and it's Bugner now, the race leader. So Scott Bugner takes over out front from Daniel Heaps and Thomas Potter, but they are very much a trio. So the race is on here, Henry.
Yeah, the race up at the front's going to be really tight here, but they don't want to lose too much time. Looking down the order, Eric Axelsson's actually running the medium tyre, so I'm going to watch out for him later on in the race, because seeing his pace in that 2nd race when he was on that soft tyre, he's going to be really quick near the end. So these guys at the front, as much as they're battling for position, they're battling for what is the win at the moment, they need to watch out for the cars behind, because even though, again, they are in that race between the 3 of them, they're racing with the entire grid and all of the other drivers who are on the ultimate strategy. So it's about battling and trying to sort out their order to see who's the quickest, so they can pull away out up front, but also not losing too much time to those cars behind, which could be really vital later on in the race.
That's it, isn't it? Scott Bugner out front, he's on soft. Daniel Heaps on soft. Thomas Potter on soft as well. Heaps is 14 years of age, and Thomas Potter just 13. We made the announcement a couple of weeks ago that Thomas is hoping to run in the... Is he 3rd? Did I say 14? Thomas is 13, and Daniel I think put 14 in his columns back, so apologies if I got them the wrong way around. But yeah, Thomas looking to race in the new Toka Junior category at the end of next year. He's not of age to do it until he gets to next September. So the 2 youngsters having a very good race indeed. Here is Eric Axelsson smoking up some tyres there at the moment in 4th place, with Josh Martin and Oliver Gibson right with him. Craig Curtis not that far away as well. Craig running on the medium. Top medium runner at the moment is Eric Axelsson, and as Henry said, that's quite significant, because the pit window opens at the end of the first lap. You can actually come in and change your tyres earlier on, but obviously you want to get the best out of both sets. A swap is mandatory, but you want to make sure you're using it for the optimum time. So it's going to be interesting to see whether the mediums are going to be the way to go. If that is the case, then Eric and Josh perhaps battling it out for the win at the moment, the 2 teammates.
Yeah, watching the cars behind Axelsson as well, Martin and Gibson, both of them were really quick. We saw, I think Martin took the win in race 1, then had issues in race 2. So he's back up the front again, and he's been putting in some really quick sectors on this lap. So again, watch out for them. They're going to be really quick in these opening stages. There's going to be a lot of battling happening here to sort out the orders, especially with the differences in tyres. This is going to be a really interesting battle coming up in these next couple of laps.
It is. I'm sort of, half wish that Josh could just give us a battle with Eric here, but it's also going to be mouth-watering to see Oliver Gibson coming up and challenging the pair of them as well. Oliver on the soft tyre at the moment, but struggling maybe to keep pace a little bit as we go back to Jack Smith. So Jack trying to close down on Craig Curtis, who is immediately in front of us. So Jack Smith just making his way around Parabolica turn 5, the left-hand curve which leads down to the hairpin. We saw Josh Martin make a couple of great passes in the first race of the day. These guys all pretty much safe and sound at the minute. Christian Gilliam's just passed Olivia Krishnovska to go up into 11th place, and Olivia has just repaid the compliment. So those two embroiled in a very, very good battle indeed, as Scott Bugner continues to lead this one. Now, interestingly, Daniel Heaps is showing as having had a stop. So did I miss that, or has he... Okay, so they haven't actually had the stop as yet. It is early doors at the moment. Okay, so that's just one of those things we will have to keep an eye on. Olivia into the top 10, and Christian Gilliam busy challenging. Olivia can't quite get away at the moment. Chris Blakey to try and close up as well. Josh Martin in the mix as well there in the 89, so Josh will try and carve his way through, clatters the curbs a little bit. He's on the outside run, is Josh Martin at the moment. Chris Blakey down with him as well. Remember, Chris was running a lot stronger in the earlier races. Chris is on the soft tyre as well, so perhaps might pick up a little bit more in the second stage as Christian Gilliam turned into the Catherine Potter of this race, i.e. the sparring partner of Olivia Krishnovska now, as Josh Martin makes his way down. This is tough times for Josh Martin, isn't it, Henry? He's got to pick his way through 3 or 4 cars. We know he's got the pace and he's further back than he would expect to be.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I thought Josh Martin and Axelsen were both higher up, so I'm wondering if they came together at some point during this race, because they both dropped back quite a bit from earlier on.
Yeah, that's a really good shout, actually. I'd spotted Josh had got back, but I hadn't seen Eric go back, so you're absolutely right. A good shout there. Eric down in 9th place. So out front, Scott Bugner from Daniel Heaps. I'm going to take my hat off to the 2 youngsters here, and it might be the curse of the commentator, and the families won't thank me, but Daniel and Thomas, this is exactly what you want to see. And a reverse grid race could be helping out drivers that haven't had the rub of the green, or giving them a little bit more experience of running off the front, giving them the confidence to do so. Thomas, we know, has got the confidence to do that, because he's been a podium finisher with us on VRRC as well. But Daniel Heaps is really showing up well here. What a welcome addition to this championship that he's there in P2.
Yeah, and they're both putting in really strong lap times as well at the moment. Scott Bugner in the lead is still pulling away a little bit each lap, but Potter and Heaps are both putting in strong laps each lap, and they're building up the gap for Gibson behind, which is just enough to hold him off, to hold that gap off as well. And so far, it's a really strong race from both of them.
If the 2 teammates did take each other out, i.e. Eric Axelsen and Josh as well, then it has changed the complexion of the race in terms of the medium shod cars, of which Craig Curtis is the leader now from Jack Smith. So Jack has kind of got himself in that position where Jack's now ahead of Craig Curtis, so he's now the leading driver on the medium tyre. So this is all panning out very well indeed for the championship leader, and there he is at the moment ahead of Craig Curtis. But Craig is going to have another go, tips down the inside here, does Craig, and we'll try and go through. Still Bugner out front, but Jack Smith holding on to position at the moment. He's actually got his brother in sight now. He's the next car down the road, Oliver Gibson, in 4th place. 17 minutes on the clock here, and these two still by side. Craig Curtis having a very good run indeed. Craig he's on the medium tyre as well, but Andy Dorman's caught them. As they've been squabbling, Andy Dorman's getting involved as well. Now this could result in the 2 cars there having a little bit of a clash. Could result in these 2 cars slowing each other down. Andy Dorman goes off track, passes Craig Curtis ultimately, and this could allow Jack Smith to break 3 and sort of consolidate his lead as the top medium driver. Andy Dorman still on the softs.
Yeah, for Jack Smith, this is ideal at the moment, but looking at Andy Dorman right behind him, he's on the soft tyre, and you see how much he closes through some of these corners with that extra grip. So as much as Smith is getting a break from the other medium runners, he might lose a position here with the rate of gain on that soft tyre. It just looks to be quite a bit better of a compound at these early stages of the race.
Looks good, doesn't it, at the moment? So Andy Dorman in 5th position, still Scott Bugner out front. Fastest lap of the race seems to change as we go through. Josh Martin's actually got the fastest lap. He's back up to 9th on his recovery. There's only Adam Lyle between himself and Eric Axelson. We have to get their thoughts if we can. If they get on the podium, that is, after the race, to see exactly what went on between the pair of them. But there is Eric in P7. Sorry, what was that, Rich? Okay, so first of the pit stops having happened, Oliver Gibson has completed his stop and is down in 13th place. So Oliver goes onto the medium tyre now, is complete. There's Chris Blakey, he's been reported as having had a little bit of contact with Christian Gillian, who is still running well. Scott Bugner's still out front, so over the next 3 or 4 laps we can expect to see maybe some more of the leading runners come in and take the stops. We've watched Craig Curtis still chasing Andy Dorman. That's pretty much settled at the moment, or settled down we should say, not settled as into the end of the race, with Josh Smith immediately ahead. Daniel Heap still trying to chase down Thomas Potter, and Scott Bugner, your race leader. Eric Axelson 7th, Josh Martin is now, and now we've got another stop here. So Scott Bugner is first to make a stop, so Scott will change over. Thomas Potter will grab the lead here with Scott in the pit lane, so Potter back into the lead. Daniel Heap's in 2nd, Scott Bugner showing 3rd on the screen. He'll have to obviously serve the stop. It'll be interesting to see where Bugner comes out. And meanwhile, it's Heaps going for the lead, has a look down the inside. Thomas Potter has the outside run slightly faster as they come through the turn 2, 3, 4 complex. Thomas Potter still out front, Daniel Heaps. So these two youngsters putting on a really good show here. This is great stuff. Still going to have their stops, and of course there's nothing to say. They're not going to come out in lead position after the 2 stops, but look at the gap they've got at the moment, and will continue to build. Here comes the move. Daniel Heaps has a look down the inside, thought about it, stopped it, then decides to have another go. Potter goes wide. Daniel Heaps is going to have a look at the inside, which if you can get a good run will carry through to the next corner. He's a little bit too far back at the moment. Now, what do you do in this situation? I don't think this type of racing is a situation that Henry Foote has been in, but what do you do, Henry? Do you stay embroiled in the battle and risk losing time, slowing each other up due to the squabble, or do you come in and get the other tyres on?
I feel like it might be worth going for a pit stop, but the problem is the battling they've already done has lost them a key amount of time to the other drivers that will be in the pits already. So it's all about trying to manage that gap. The point at which they're battling now is probably the worst place in terms of the race time to be battling, because you'll end up losing track position from the pit stops, and you might end up where you might have been able to go ahead with that tyre differential from the soft to those pitting onto the mediums, and now you see him peeling in. I think he's made the right call there, because if they continue to battle, they'd be losing too much time on track, and they'll be losing that track position, which will be massively key for later stages in the race.
Well, Daniel Heaps on his own now and runs a little bit wide there, and could be entering the drifting championship before too long. Jack Smith is in the pits as well. So we've got many of the top runners have had their stops, so we're going to start to get a picture of what is happening. The question for me, though, is was Thomas's stop actually planned for that lap, or was he just sort of dipping out and taking a breather from the race and realising that it could possibly slow him up? Daniel Heaps now the leader. Craig Curtis is in 2nd position. From Christian Gilliam now, he comes through, obviously waiting on his stop. Scott Bugner, interesting though, is in 4th position. So tactically, Scott Bugner has had a very, very good stop and comes out in 4th position, but obviously onto the harder tyres. So how well are the mediums going to last for him? As we briefly look at the 3rd place man, Christian Gilliam, now back to Oliver Gibson in 5th place. Gibson, of course, has had his stop as well. So Oliver Gibson trying to chase down Scott Bugner. This is now effectively a proper race pace battle. Both of the 2 cars that we're looking at, Bugner and Gibson, have stopped, and Bugner's still got the upper hand, as he had at the start of this reverse grid race. So really good strategy so far by the looks of it from Scott Bugner, and we'll see whether Oliver Gibson, who took pole at the outset of this whether he can close in. Meanwhile, Daniel Heaps enjoying a little bit of glory here, Henry. Does this inspire you to want to do a little bit of GT racing, do you think?
I mean, these cars, they look like a lot of fun to drive, and I think these GT-style cars, they're a lot different to what I've driven in the past, but they look like, again, the racing's a lot of fun, and with the pit stops and everything, it adds another level to the racing, which I've never done before, and the strategy, it makes the racing a lot more exciting in terms of figuring out track position, figuring out what strategies drivers are running, and as we can see now, all the orders getting mixed up. You don't know where people are until the end of these pit stops. So it's really great both to watch and as a driver with the differentials in tyres and all of these bits. It adds up to a really exciting race for both spectator and driver.
It does, doesn't it? And strategy absolutely key. I was amazed. You know, we were chatting to Alex Walker about the C1 racing, and strategy is a key for that. And they have some really serious. I mean, Paul Trustwell, who commentates on it, actually advises some of the teams on strategy, and he really knows his stuff. And the mind boggles with the stuff that he comes out with in order to get these people through the race. I think he's a master mathematician as well as a theorist as well. Really, really clever stuff. Clever stuff here from Oliver Gibson. Closing up here on Scott Bugner. I think we might see a change very shortly for what will be, I think once the stops are completed, the race lead. Bugner being closed in on by Oliver Gibson at the moment. Andy Carroll is down in 4th place, Reed 3rd after the stops, very possibly. Craig Curtis is the race leader, but I don't think has had his stop yet. Eric Axelson just, I think, changed position, down in 10th with Andy Dorman, and Josh Smith is Jack Smith, sorry, in 5th position. I knew I was going to come out with Josh Smith after the weekend. It was, if you get a chance to watch it, as the race leader now comes in to have his pit stop, and this will cede the lead to our top 2 drivers that have pitted. So Scott Bugner and Oliver Gibson will fight it out in this one, and we'll see whether Andy Carroll and Jack Smith can get involved as well. Jack Smith now ahead of Carroll. Andy Dorman here dicing it out with Daniel Heaps, who's, after leading the race for so long, still in the top 10 and driving a good race. Thomas Potter, I think, probably did get the better of the stops there, because he's now got Andy Dorman between himself and Daniel Heaps. You can see that they're still pretty close together. Andy Dorman just ahead of Heaps, who seems to get a little bit of oversteer as he comes out of that corner.
Yeah, I think in the end, Potter's call of coming in a bit earlier was the right call. He managed to get a bit of extra track position there, and as you can see, what that meant was Dorman and Heaps were coming out in a bit where they were battling, and now Dorman's on Potter, but Heaps has dropped back. So overall in that battle, Thomas Potter's managed to win off in that quite well.
He has, and P6, so this is a decent. This is the Thomas we know and love of old. So in a good strong position. P7 at the moment with Andy with his nose in front, but Thomas has got the inside line into the hairpin, and there was a little bit of a rub on the back there of Andy Dorman as they came out of the hairpin. So Dorman will stay in 7th place, Thomas Potter in 6th, Josh Martin ahead of them in 5th place, then Jack Smith 4th, Oliver Gibson 3rd, Scott Bugner, and Craig Curtis is showing as our race leader. So Craig Curtis, what great strategy from Craig Curtis, our race leader. Who would have thought this? And he's got a pretty good lead, because now there is. I got that totally wrong. I said that Craig Curtis was not going to be the leader after his stops. I got that entirely 100% wrong. But now he's coming. Oh, didn't he come in earlier on? I'm sure he had a stop. Okay, so he's missed his pit on the way in, and we'll do it now. So I was correct. Scott Bugner is the leader. So the battle for the lead is between Bugner and Gibson. Curtis will come in, do the stop and drop down the order. And these two very well clear at the moment of Jack Smith in 3rd. So right on board with Oliver Gibson. Pole position man. No, he's got the pace around here, but we know Scott Bugner has been good as well. This is going to be a massive scout for Scott Bugner if he can take the win. Henry, which position would you like to be in right now? Chaser or the man up front?
I think actually neither. I think at the moment, looking at 3rd position, Jack Smith was where I'd like to be. he's on the soft tyre. At the moment, he's running a delta where I think I saw he was up in 5 seconds earlier, and now he's down to 4.7. So the rate at which he's gaining, I don't know if it would be enough, but I think at this point in time, the soft tyre looks like it could be enough to gain in. But if I was in the position of the top two, I'd like to be in the position of Gibson, because it looks like at the moment he's got the overwhelming pace, and there might be a move coming soon.
Great answer, yeah. And looking outside the box, they're going back to third. So Smith and Martin, big gaps between those, but it's very, very close between these two. And Gibson just applying the pressure here. Scott Bugner will look in his mirrors. 5 minutes 59. We've still got a fair old chunk of time to go in this race, but Oliver Gibson looking very competitive at the moment in P2. Bugner, of course, will be ultimately probably happy, I guess, with a rear-wheel drive podium, but he'll be even happier if he can hold off Oliver Gibson and take the win. But Gibson here at the moment just looks like he's got the measure on. He's wheel for wheel and just trying to work out where he can get the extra momentum and make the pass. And I'm going to put Henry on the spot again. Where's the pass going to come? Is it the Josh plate, the Josh Martin call down into the hairpin? What do you reckon?
I feel like it's got to be. Unless a move happens here, I think the only way it's going to happen is, again, with that really long back straight, the slipstream all the way through. I just think it will be the only place you can really get a move in, unless something happens later on in the lap where they can get a bit tighter together. But I think if you look along here, there's going to be a massive toe effect, and I don't know if it would be enough. But the thing is, them fighting, if you look at the gap again to Smith, it's down in the 3 seconds. So he's closed in almost 2 seconds in one lap, partly because of the tyre delta, partly because of these guys defending from each other. So into the closing stage of this race with only 4 minutes, just over 4 minutes to go, it's going to be a really tight ending.
Oliver Gibson, yeah, you're absolutely right. Oliver Gibson needs to make the move now, doesn't he? A, to get out of this battle and to stop them slowing each other up, but also because he's going to have his brother on soft tyres all over the back of this in a couple of laps as well. With 13 laps in, Oliver at the moment is trying everything that he can, but Scott Bugner driving a great race out front and seemingly unflustered at the moment. He'll be feeling the pressure for sure, but he's coping with it brilliantly. Let's see whether Oliver can close up. He's always within a length or so. He uses a little bit more of the runoff there, trying to gain a little bit more momentum. We can see him being a little bit more generous with the run into some of the corners as well. Scott runs a little bit wider there, but still not leaving any gaps at all. And this is all good, smooth stuff at the moment from the race leaders. Bugner's still out front, clatters the curve, and that's the sort of mistake that could pay dividends here for Oliver Gibson, who starts to get a little look up the inside, but he couldn't quite capitalise on that, Henry.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a place where we might see a move. If Gibson can get a good run through turn one here, he might be able to get the run into the next corner coming up. I'm just not quite sure though, because I don't think there's a heavy enough braking zone to make a move, because the corner, as tight as it is, it's not the same overtaking opportunities you get up into the hairpin. So again, I think the move might come here, because as you can see, Gibson's now got a really good run onto this back straight. So we'll have to see.
Yeah, out of turn 3, round turn 4. Turn 5 is the parabolic of the effectively straight, isn't it? They come out of here and head down into the hairpin at turn 6. The right-hander, let's see whether he's close enough to have a move here. And you can see that Bugner just coming across to defend the inside line. He's forcing Gibson to have a look at the outside here. Is he going to go and try and get the switchback, which could work because you've got the right-hander at the end of the short straight out of the hairpin, but he doesn't have enough momentum to go up the inside, so Bugner will stay in the race lead. Meanwhile, we've got Jack Smith closing up. The gap is now 2.3 seconds back from Oliver Gibson to Jack Smith as we head down with 2 minutes to go. The clock is ticking down. Time is running out for Jack Smith to close down on the two leaders. Bugner manages to put a little bit of breathing space between himself and Gibson with 2 minutes 20 on the clock. Is Gibson going to have another amount of momentum? Here he is, he's closing up again, so it's a momentary drop there for Oliver Gibson, who gets a little bit ragged there over the curbs and is still trying to hang on. Now, predictions, what do we think is going to happen here? Scott Bugner has soaked up all the pressure so far. Can he do it for another 2 minutes?
I think Smith can come in and do something. I just don't feel like Gibson's got enough, because each time, every single time, that run down the back straight to the hairpin, it always looks like Gibson just doesn't have quite the same traction at that corner, and he just can't get enough of a run to be right on his bumper. So I just think Bugner's going to hold on, but if you look at Smith, you can see him right there. So there's not going to be that much longer left. I think he's cutting it close. This could be the last lap, maybe one more. But yeah, I just don't see if Gibson can make a move, but I might go back on my word now. It looks like he's a lot closer.
John Jones pulls across. Great stuff by John Jones, moving out of the way. Both of these drivers, first and second, on the same ballast coming into this event. 29 kgs, 2 points separates them. Scott Bugner 2 points clear, but here comes Oliver Gibson. Looks to the outside run here. They're side by side as they come into the hairpin. Doesn't work now, and Gibson's going to go for the switch back on the inside to try and get the run onto the inside for turn 7. Doesn't work though. Again, can't quite muster the momentum with 52 seconds on the clock. And Jack Smith in third place is beginning to close up. Josh Martin is up into 4th after a tumultuous race. Eric Axelsen is down behind him. So Martin ahead of Axelsen. The battling pair there have done well. I don't think we're going to get to talk to him on the podium with 34 seconds remaining on the clock. And Scott Bugner here will kind of be hoping, I think, Henry, that he'll be hoping this is going to be the last lap, that he doesn't have to soak up another lap's worth of pressure.
Yeah, I think into this section he should just have enough to hold on. There's not really any overtaking opportunities from this corner onwards, but maybe there might be a mistake coming up. We don't know. But I think Smith's just about ran out of time to be able to get close enough to make a move. It was a great strategy call from him at the end, but it's not going to be quite enough.
Oh, this is going to be tight on the clock. The clock's down. It's going to be the checkered flag. Here they come. Scott Bugner is going to take the win. It's the last run from Oliver Gibson, but Scott Bugner will take the checkered flag and the win from Oliver Gibson. Jack Smith closes right in at the closing stages and got the gap down to less than a second. So the podium is Bugner, Gibson and Smith, with Josh Martin in 4th position ahead of Eric Axelsen. Daniel Heaps is going to come through for 6th position. Daniel, remember, in his opening meeting with us, had 16th, 11th and 15th. So super performance from Daniel Heaps. It's Andy Carroll next up, Thomas Potter in 8th, then Christian Gillian in 9th position, and Chris Blakey wrapping up the top 10 from Craig Curtis and Andy Dorman. Andy Lyle next up from Olivia Krosnowska in 14th, Lee Piercy 15th. Then John Jones, who's taken the checkered flag. Of course, we saw him passed by Bugner, Gibson and Smith earlier on in the lap. Paul Laramie having problems through the course of the race. They are the finishers, but Bugner is the winner again, takes the win in the feature race from Oliver Gibson in 2nd place and Jack Smith in 3rd. And we'll have a word with our winners after this break. So our 3rd and final podium of the evening. What an evening it's been. Welcoming Henry Foote into the commentary box. That's been a real pleasure as well. Thanks, Henry, for joining us. We'll have a natter before we sign off. But before we get to that, 3rd position goes to Jack Smith. It was so rapidly there. It's another podium, Jack, and more very good championship points on pretty much full ballast.
Yeah, deja vu, eh, Richard?
Exactly.
It's for race 1, yeah. At 2 even. But yeah, no. To be honest, I'm surprised I was even in a podium position because I thought Thomas and I think Daniel were way ahead. And I noticed, I think Eric and Josh had a bit of a tangle as well. I'm not really sure what happened there, but it got to the final 7 minutes, and then I realised I was like, oh yeah, this is like a real podium now. So yeah, unfortunately made a few mistakes. I was on my final warning for track limits, so I had to be really careful at the end, but also trying to push the limits as far as I can. So yeah, that was a bit iffy, but yeah, no, I was just trying to push as hard as I can. Lost the rear a few times, which messed up my rear tires quite badly. And I kept losing the rear going into T1. That was pretty horrific. Had to do some monumental saves to get around that one, but yeah, just trying to catch up to Ollie and Scott. It was closing in so much, and it got just under a second at the line, and I couldn't believe it. So yeah, it's one of those.
But happy with the evening's racing overall?
Yeah, no, you can't ask for more than 3 podiums, really, can you? It's mega points for the championship. So yeah, I'm super happy with what I come away with. We had the pace. I think we had the pace to get a few wins, but yeah, the points is what matters at the end of the day for the championship. So yeah, I'm really happy, and thank you to everyone who's been watching. I know all the sponsors, my mum, stepdad, everyone's been watching at the pub tonight. So yeah, I'm sure they're all cheering on.
Have you got it on the screen, or have they got it on phones and stuff like that? We need it on the big screen.
They'll have it on the phone. They'll be probably cheering now. So yeah, thanks to all you in the hop cabin having a watch tonight. So yeah, I'm sure they're loving it.
Absolutely brilliant. I hope they enjoyed it, and we look forward to. I'm away for a couple of weeks now, but you've got the excellent company of Reeve Taylor next week. So I'll just say well done on another podium, Jack Smith. Championship lead intact. Well done, and we'll catch you in a couple of weeks.
Cheers, Rich, and thank you again for doing commentary. It's a pleasure to be racing, so you can commentate on it.
Oh, it's a pleasure's all mine, mate. Absolutely brilliant.
Cheers, Rich.
So we're going to move on. Oliver Gill. So Oliver, we started obviously real well with the chat with pole position, which worked out well. Podium in race 1, and now another podium in race 2. So decent points. You're on the same ballast as Eric, and you were saying before we came off the ad break that you didn't realise that it was the last lap, and I think we didn't. To be fair, we thought there might have been another lap as well as we were looking at the timing coming down.
Yeah, I didn't realise, and yeah, that's it really. I saw there was about 32 seconds left. I was like, we'll get another lap in, and yeah, obviously didn't. So I don't think I would have made a move even if it was the last lap. I think Scott was placing his car really well. I mean, the hairpin, I was like, surely there's a way around him, and it's just every time I couldn't get past. So then there's a couple of times onto that straight where it's just like, I'm like, yes, I get the power down early. Oh, there goes the rears, there goes all my speed, and have to wait another lap. So yeah, it was a what if, I think, is to score tonight. But you know, you can't complain. Like Jet said, not 3 podiums for me, 2 podiums for me. But I can't complain with that. So yeah, it's all good. Looking forward to the next one.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it too. It was a great race for me to watch with you and Scott. And to be honest, you know, I said to Eric in his interview on race 2, you can watch people go wheel to wheel, side by side, and that's great. We all enjoy that. But equally, where you got 2 drivers very evenly matched over the course of a race, you trying to outfox him trying to defend, it was actually mega to watch. It was good stuff from both of you.
Well, thank you. I'm going to be sick of seeing Scott's car in the next few rounds because I think if you gave me a canvas, I could paint his car perfectly. And
nice
Jack in my mirror, honestly, Jack in my mirror, flying. I was watching the gap every time we crossed the line. I was like, all right, 6 seconds, that's fine. 4 seconds, 2. I was like, bloody hell. So yeah, a lot of work to do on that, but yeah, looking forward.
That's a great comment about you could give you a canvas. I wish we got stuff like that out of real drivers. We very rarely do. That's a really good comment, so I appreciate that one. Well done, good meeting, decent points, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, cheers, see you.
Cheers, Oliver, very well done, and we'll have a word with our race Bugner. What a drive, what a great defensive drive, and how much pressure did you feel you were under?
Loads, to be honest. I'm not very good with these pit stops. I never know when to pit, so I just kind of wait and go, oh, Wally's just pitted, so I'm going to pit this next lap, and it's obviously too late. And he gained quite a bit of time on me, and then I hadn't actually done any practice on the medium, so I was learning it as I went. And then I made a bit of a mistake into the penultimate corner and went up on two wheels, Gabriele Tarquini style. That lost me even more time. But yeah, no, it was really good though. And it was fair and no contact. Just sort of place it where I could and hope that Ollie couldn't get past.
So just to throw a couple of stats, because I like my stats. So you and Eric both on 2 wins, and Jack's only on 1 at the moment. So did you expect that after the second event?
Oh, he's got to pull his finger out, any really, you know what I mean? No, it is just luck at the end of the day. It's this.
Come on, there is a bit of that, but you've got to operate the controls, haven't you?
Yeah, of course. But I think it's like it's the same as race 2 and race 3. When you've got that reverse grid, it's just how quickly you can get through. And I was a little bit lucky that obviously I started a little bit ahead of the guys at the back, so it was maybe slightly easier for me. But as soon as Ollie and Jack, I could see Jack coming like at a knots, and it was just trying to put the head down and try not to make mistakes, and try and get over the line with a win, which is what we did.
That's absolutely mega, mate. And in addition to the win, we're awarding you driver of the day as well.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you.
So congratulations. I think you ought to give a quick plug for the family business just to see if we can get that car sold.
Well, I'll say a big hello to Ollie and Jack's mum in the pub, because I have met her mum, Ollie's mum at Silverstone. They come and watch, or didn't watch me, but they watched my race at Silverstone last year. So I've met them, lovely people. So have a drink on me on that one. But yeah, just if anyone's looking for a car, like I said, my dad said that if I sell a car, he will pay for at least one race entry. You're more than welcome to buy the car, wait for him to pay the entry and return it. I don't mind. I just want to get the money out of it.
That's a real car dealer offer, isn't it? That one, is that? That's very good. Actually, it's got me thinking about, because I've met a couple of folk at the meetings. Maybe we ought to. I don't know whether everyone gets to the Autosport or not. It's not always the big draw for me, but maybe we ought to have a social at some point, see if we can get as many VRRC people together over the winter or something.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I'm definitely going to do the Autosport, because my missus didn't really understand how long an F1 car was, and I was
huge, aren't they?
They are huge. So I said I'll take her in January, whenever it is, and actually get her to stand next to one, and then she can realise actually how big they are.
Do you know what? These other halves never. They're always moaning that we never treat them to a proper day out or anything, do they? There we are, taking them to racing car shows and things like that. They get well looked after, don't they?
You can't go better than a good old burger and chips at the NEC. Do you know what I mean? So... and it's on her as well.
Even better. Even better. So anyway, well done, Scott. Second win of the campaign. Congratulations on that. Driver of the day as well. And hopefully someone will buy a car and you'll get a race entry sorted out as well. So well done. Thanks ever so much for the chat and the entertainment as ever. It's been absolutely brilliant.
Thank you very much. Cheers, guys.
Well, and we say well done to Rich for keeping things busy and under control as much as he possibly could tonight. Rich Hayden, well done. And to Henry Foote, enjoy your debut in the comms box.
Yeah, it was good fun. I was worried I was going to mess up a few times, but to be fair, I really enjoyed it. It was great racing.
Great, been nice, very articulate, and great company as ever. Always a pleasure to see you and your dad at the racetrack. And thank you very much for coming along and joining us on this. And hope it's useful in some respects. If not fun, you can get in a box and do the job if you're not racing at any track. So thank you very much, Henry, and we'll see you a little bit later on. I think it was the Zandvoort round, which is the anti-penultimate round. So look forward to welcoming you back.
Looking forward to
that one in a few weeks. But thanks ever so much for coming along. Next week we are at Oschersleben. I say we, as I mentioned before, Reeve Taylor will be back because I'm away on recruiting Fiesta Junior Scholar. Henry was there last year vying for the scholarship and ended up racing a whole season in the Fiesta Juniors very well too. So we're going to find out who our scholar is next week. But I'll be keeping an eye on things from the hotel room to see how. Actually, no, I'll be driving back on Wednesday night. But I'll be having a look in on Thursday morning to check in on the results, to see how we go. So please do give Reeve your support next week, and Rich on for all the so much for great entertainment, and everybody at home for watching. As ever, be nice to each other. Take care, and I'll see you in a couple of weeks. Bye for now.